boys and girls. It is 2025 and the Brethren are back. Welcome to another rousing rendition of what we like to call here the Brethren Podcast, and the gang is all here to start the year off. We got Alicia Brandon of HBCU Pets, Destrin Wells of D Wells Consulting, Mr. Dr. Ajamu Loving, CFP, PhD. It's some more acronyms that's coming. I just always can't always remember them. But how are we doing in the new year? You know, we keep up with each other outside of this. Uh,
Yeah,
but we
you're doing all right. You
definitely.
got to introduce yourself, the
You know what?
illustrious.
I never actually do,
Oh,
and
look at that.
that's the beauty of it. It's like the Wizard of
They
Oz. You
know
don't
you,
know.
but they
Look,
don't know you.
Or
hey,
Wizard of Oz.
it's like the Wizard of Oz, man. I'm AJ Wilson of MMBBGW. Um, Mr. Wells is going to be in the background, recovering. But hey, how we doing this year?
So far, pretty good.
And we only 15 days in. We're only at
Hey,
this
let me.
point two weeks into the year, and so it's a while. It looks to be Mr. Toad's wild ride. It's about to kick
Hey,
off
man,
very
I feel
soon.
like, yeah, I feel like it's dripping with possibility. Like
Okay.
right now, I'm seeing. I think the Lord saw that 2024 closed out rough for a brother. I was hopeful about some things that did not come to fruition. And when you close out a year and some things didn't come to fruition, sometimes it's tough to be hopeful in the next year, right? But I feel like the Lord has given me a couple of little positive things. I think He just said, "Hey, man, you need to see a little bit of light at the end of some tunnels, and He's gonna feel better." And lot, lot of light that I'm seeing, and the tunnels because of the light look a lot shorter. It's a good feeling.
That's so
So,
positive, and I love it, and I
mm-hmm,
appreciate it. I appreciate the positivity. Uh,
Yes.
mm-hmm.
Miss Brandon,
I don't want to be the Debbie Downer.
No, you ain't got to be a Debbie Downer. Tell them. Let them know. If they come at you, you take a shot at the boss you best not miss. Okay.
the year is
Hilarious.
starting off with tests for some of us. You know,
Yes.
Yes.
I feel like, the world's been tested. We got fires on one coast, ice on another, you know. Uh,
Mm-hmm.
it's a lot going on. My business is being attacked. I got some copyright or trademark infringement stuff going on right now. After coming back from having a blast in New Orleans for my very first Mardi Gras balls, three of them.
mm.
I'm just dealing with that. And I'm like, yo, 2025 came in windmilling, not punching, but windmilling. So
Mm.
I hope this is not the setup for what the rest of 2025 is going to be. And I, like you, Dr. Levin, I want to be hopeful. I want to be hopeful that these tests will not last the duration of 2025 like they did for me in 24.
Mm-hmm.
And
Mm-hmm.
sometimes you got to take the test in that room where it's a timer, and sometimes you take that test outside that room. But at the end
Yeah.
of it, we all learn
And
something from it.
I will
Um,
say this, with the test come the elevation. Like I know I test my students and I'm testing to see whether they're ready for whatever next level. So
I do like to do in
maybe
church.
there's
With the
some next
test
level
comes the
things that are going
testimony.
on. Hey, I had not intended to
I don't know
preach,
why
but
you the in-house minister. I don't know why you. I don't know why you just didn't let the spirit lead you right on
let
into
me
that.
just say, let him use you. Let him
Let it,
use
you look. You did, but he used me. With the test
There
comes
you go.
testimony. But I'm
There
glad
you
what I'm
go.
saying everything is looking up because that's what we always gonna do. Um, but that'll bring us to our conversation. We'll roll right into that, but in true Brethren fashion as we always do. Here's a toast to a good conversation being had, crumbs being dropped and gems being dropped, and for those who need them, they can receive them. Happy New Year.
Happy New
Happy
Year.
New Year.
Um, so yeah, I just wanted to take a little bit of y'all time tonight and talk to you and get your opinions and your thoughts because we often talk about balance. We always have a yin and a yang when we have our conversations, and due to all of the things that are going on and reality becoming more real than we've probably ever seen in our lifetimes. Um, Being able to understand and determine and place intuition and instinct, intuition and instinct. So just straight up intuition, based off some sources, is a feeling. It's based off decisions, past experiences, and it is that gap or that pause before you do something. And an instinct is a behavior. It is based off action. It is an action. It's somewhat inherited, and it is instant. Your instinct is instant in most cases. So going into the times that we foresee that we're going into, and just in general in business life, personal, which we always talk about, having the the knowledge to be able to balance between the two and tap in when needed, because there are going to be instances where your instinct is not the right choice, because for some, you step on a shoe and the instinct is an immediate uppercut for some. Uh, but the intuition is that's not a wise decision. That's the pause before the instinct kicks in. So I'll start with you, Alicia. Just immediate thoughts on intuition and instinct for you.
So for intuition, they always say like women have this distinct intuition about us. We can read people, you just feel it in your soul, feel it in your gut about a situation, about people, a circumstance, whatever. I try to lean into that a lot, personally as well as professionally, but sometimes my instincts will kind of take over. For example, with the infringement situation I'm dealing with, my initial instinct was to come guns a blazing, right? Like, who's attacking my baby? Because HBCU Pets is my baby. That's my brand I birthed. And that might not necessarily be the right thing to do right now. It's been 24 hours and I've had some time to think about it. I'm like, damn, maybe I should take my post down because I wasn't all the way mama bear like I wanted to be, right? Because I'm aware.
It was a professional.
Read.
It was professional though. But it for me, it gave the notice that it should have. Like you said, like mama bears, like the mama bear is not just gonna be like, excuse me, can you please leave? Mama bear
Right.
is gonna stand up on them hind legs and let you know I mean business. And that's what you did. But it wasn't I'll say it wasn't malicious. It wasn't nasty or nothing like that. It was just like, hey, we've been put on notice and
Right.
we're taking the proper uh precautions.
Absolutely. Yep. So yeah. Um, yeah, I want to hear from you, Dr. Levin.
But real quick,
Yeah,
Doc,
so
because I like the way you framed it, is especially in that bit in like in your situation with the business, is the instincts kicked in of like some like my business is under attack. My instinct would be to ah, but
Yes.
intuition based off experience, past experiences, possibly is my knee jerk reaction, like some folks call it, is not the appropriate response. And having the wherewithal to be able to literally take that pause based off your intuition. But go ahead, Doc.
yeah, and I was gonna say, I think there are a couple of important things to realize when you're thinking about both instinct and intuition. And number one is like neither one of them by themselves is going to be the thing that should prompt real action. Now, I say that because a lot of times people will go by how they feel in the absence of information and data, right? I believe in a data-driven process. So understanding what the problem is, understanding what the potential solutions are, or understanding what the challenge that you're trying to accomplish is, and what the potential solutions, strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, threats are of a potential situation. When you have the information, then your intuition can be a lot more valuable, right? Because now you have some other things, some other foundation to stand on. And even your instincts can be valuable too. But if you're relying solely on those two things, then you end up behaving what I would call, very similar to the way a person who is behaving emotionally behaves, right? Because you aren't taking any additional information, you're just going off of your gut. So I always tell people, number one, inform your gut, right? Make sure that you have the right type of fuel to make the right type of decisions. The other thing that you want to make certain of is that your reactions to whatever it is that you are experiencing makes sense based on both the stimulus and what it is that you want to have come out of the situation. So in your case, Alicia, obviously you have every right to be upset about infringement, right? Um, and I think the way that you handle that in terms of making the information publicly available to the people who are your supporters who might otherwise erroneously support this other brand, guess what? 100% the right thing to do. But you didn't hit anybody in the face with a shovel. That type of thing might have been instinct in the way that you felt at the moment, but you did not do that because both your instincts, your intuition, and all of the other elements of what make you you put you towards doing something that was going to be productive and push you towards where you wanted to go. So that part of it, to me, is very important. But when we start talking about instinct, I always end up thinking about like how you grew up, right? If you came from a tough town, your first instinct when somebody comes at you wrong um, and tries to fight, it's going to be to fight back, right? It may be your instinct might be to be hyper violent. Whereas your again, as AJ said, your intuition about the situation might tell you you're in a small Texas town where that's not going to be received very well, right? Or you're in the type of career that these types of charges are not going to look good on you. Or here's the powerful part about intuition that's a little bit different from instinct. Because when I think about instinct, I think about reacting to an environment, reacting to a stimulus, like what your visceral reaction is likely to be. When I think about intuition, I think about using that more proactively to avoid these situations where you would be in a position where instinct has to kick in. So when you're coming out of a place and it's dark at night, you find light, you find people, you find that is something that you do in order to keep from having to have instinct kicked in, but you use your intuition about the environment, determine that it could be potentially dangerous, and now you use the intuition to guide you on a path towards things that are going to be less dangerous for you. So I think you can proactively use these things in ways that maybe people haven't thought about, or at least the intuitive parts of yourself.
Right.
Literally. Because
Yeah.
the instinct and the list that I got, it was instinct was your instant response to stimuli, and
Yeah.
intuition is that gap or that pause between the stimuli and your response. So
Hmm.
it's that buffer. Intuition is that buffer between something happening and you responding to what's happening. And but it also like what both of y'all are saying, it is it is key to have instinct, because if you don't have an instinct to pause from, the situation you might still get you might still get bad results because you don't have something to pause from, where it's like something's happening, what's your immediate response, and is that correct? Because even though you gotta pause, that intuition of pausing, it still might be the best decision to go with your instinct. So it might be like, you know what, it is right, where it's like, hey, I'm being hit across the head. Instinct says fight back.
Mhm.
If intuition kicks in and you pause for a minute and just ball up, intuition gives you that pause, and then instincts like, yeah, no, the correct response is to fight back.
Yeah, and the intuition could tell you which punch to throw or kick to throw at that point in time, so that that you can connect and get this person off of you, right? And so, because I don't look at intuition as necessarily something that's about you pausing and just sitting there and being reflective.
Right,
Being
right, right.
intuitive is about being able to assess the situation a little bit more clearly than just the data that's coming at you would suggest, right? So it's a little bit of a feel in there too. Um, but that same type of intuition is what I think separates a lot of people in terms of their performance in high stress environments, right? So yeah, all fighters have the instinct to to fight. All fighters, there are certain things that certain movements and protection that is instinctual, but an intuitive fighter understands what the person is likely to do in terms of their response to that stimulus. And so what do? They change things up so they can be more successful at hitting them. They also change things up in their movement to make themselves less easy to hit. Intuition, as well as the game plan and the understanding of what punch or kick can flow well from the other, puts you in a much better position than a person who's just learned these movements in a rote way, but does not have the experience with them to really put together a full portfolio of movement that can make a person so confused that they can't even lean on their own intuition, right? And so when we're in life and we're dealing with problems coming at us from multiple directions, having some level of training that you can build and also amplify that intuition through and amplify the effect of that intuition in terms of your actions and behaviors, that's all important too, right? So it's like, the feeling about where I want to go, or a certain contemplative moment where I think about it. All of these things are important, but actually being able to be prepared to execute is even, in my opinion, more important.
Hey
Alicia, I'm
guys,
coming to you. Oh, go
while I
ahead.
have a while I have a moment in the boy one and boy two are being cooperative. What I want to point out is that those things don't have to be linear, and I think a lot of times we think about
Mhm.
intuition and instincts as a linear thing, because at least for me, in often cases, my intuition informs my instincts, right? And so if it's late at night or coming back from a corporate function or something like that, and Doc, we've been together several nights. Hey, let's actually not go this way, right? So that's my
Mhm.
intuition, and my instincts tend to follow that because the flight or flight response is certainly going to happen when you find yourself in danger. So sometimes, I just want to make sure that folks don't think that it has to be linear. In many
Mhm.
cases, your intuition is informing you of the instinct or the behavior that you need to take, right? Because you're sometimes trying to avoid putting yourself in that knee jerk situation where you have to immediately respond. Now, consequently, from an instinct standpoint, I've learned over the years that I'm gonna always follow my instinct, but I think it's that muscle memory when you know to lean on the intuition to say, like AJ said, that pause or that stopgap. Rash decisions rarely work out well for all parties involved. So someone's going to take a loss here. Now, that person may not be you, but have you put yourself in a situation where longer term, the outcome for you may be more detrimental because you didn't allow your intuition to lend itself, or you lend your ear to your intuition to say, let me think this through just a little bit more. So don't think that those things are linear and they have to go in some type of successive order. Oftentimes, it's a recalibration several times over in the same situation because the situation is fluid and it's constantly changing. And so you may have to lean on one as opposed to the other. But as Alicia said on the onset, going scorched earth sometimes is, to our detriment because we're relying on one aspect and not a combination of the two. So I would just encourage folks to kind of take the time to learn the muscle memory of which you're using, learn to identify which one you're using as well, because oftentimes I think they get confused.
I think that's super important, right? Because look at what happens when there are other types of infringement, trademark, copyright. Um, Different songs. Marvin Gaye's family they have been doing this to folks for a long time. They're not going to come in when you first introduce the song and say you stole this from Marvin Gaye and make a whole bunch of noise at the beginning. They're going to wait till you sold a couple million records, collected a little bit of money, and then once you have, here they come with the lawsuit and the huge settlement that's going to come to them.
That just
That's
further
a
points to what DJ's saying is that, that intuition is leading that instinct where it's like my
Yeah,
instinct
that's
is
right. Right.
I'm going to protect,
It
but my
becomes
intuition says let
it
Right.
me
becomes
calm
it becomes
down
a
and then let me
process.
come in when I need to.
Yes, what it
It,
is they are not acting
no,
instinctually.
again, it's
They
muscle
are
memory.
they have the instinct, they have the intuition that tells them all of the things that are happening, but they're using intuition and their long-term thought process to guide
Exactly.
their
And that
actions with respect to what they do. And I think
and that's the
that part is really
that's the
important.
muscle memory. That's the muscle memory aspect of it. So, to Alicia's credit, okay, I'm gonna give you a professional read, but now I'm setting a precedent for
Oh,
people
I
to
told you, I informed you publicly so.
Right.
now I'm setting a
Don't come for
precedent. Yeah, and I am going to run this same playbook when my intuition tells me that someone is playing in my face in a particular type of way. And I think that's important because, as Doc said, long before they ever come against you with the suit, their intuition has shown up to say, we need to take a look at this. Now, if the instinct was to jump out there on Robin Thicke in the very beginning, blurred lines wouldn't go platinum, and then we wouldn't be able to recoup what it is we want in royalties. And so, again, I think the playbook is the muscle memory and programmatic way that people go about handling this business when these things arise. And so, once you develop your playbook, people can't get you off your square or your point of comfort because you know exactly what to do based on the intuition you have and the instincts that you know you need to put at play.
So, Alicia, I want to come to you now and I want to talk about the faith conscious aspect of intuition, because we've alluded to it because Doc keeps saying intuitive. And this is also a good time to plug in. You can go back and listen to a past episode we did about emotional intelligence. I don't know. I'm pretty sure it probably ties in with this. All of our stuff happens to do that. I don't even know at this point. But let's talk about the Jiminy Cricket of it all. When we're talking about the conscious, because we keep alluding to it where it's like, where is it coming from? Like, the intuition is guiding the instinct is guiding the intuition, but where essentially is this Jiminy Cricket, this conscience coming from, in your opinion?
That's a good question. The ancestors, look, my faith guides. Shoot. Um, I mean, and they're always with you. Doc made a comment about you giving your students a test or something like that. And it was something that made me think. I can't remember exactly what you said, but I was just thinking, like, who's proctoring the test? Like, who's always watching? Like,
Oh yeah, I said sometimes the test is in the classroom and sometimes it's
yes, you made that comment. Yes, yep,
yeah.
yep. But for the test, whether it be inside the classroom or outside the classroom, there's a proctor, right? Somebody watching. God is our proctor.
Mhm.
Guides that intuition. I think so. I mean, if you faith-based, I don't know what our listeners do, but
Mhm.
that's my guide in life.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Doc, we I don't care. Look, I'm gonna use the word faith because it exists, and it doesn't
Sure.
necessarily mean religion, because
Right.
faith is an action. Um,
I think a
but
lot of people are spiritual without being religious too, and can
right,
feel certain um,
energies,
feels,
vibes,
and yeah, vibes, however
wavelengths,
you want to describe it,
frequencies.
something, instincts, um, vibrational energy and intuition that comes from that. I think that it can come from a lot of different places. I think to the extent that everything we perceive has root within our mind somewhere, I think it's reasonable to suggest that, yeah, to a certain degree, it is the ancestors. It's the people who have poured lessons into your parents and your parents' parents, and all of that information and energy is coming towards you. So even if you don't believe in God, understand that there is a power in these words, messages, and the directionality to all of them, right? And so if you've heard something long enough, or if something is enough of a belief within your family structure that it guides the way in which you move, guess what? It's going to some degree, at least, impact the instincts that you will exhibit, and to some degree, the intuition that you are going to experience, and that visceral feeling you're going to feel when you encounter certain situations.
Yeah.
Right. And that's part of what it is you're trying to do when you raise a kid, is to prepare them for situations that are very likely going to arise within their lives, right? And I think that's how the world works. That's what parents do for all of us. That's what I would say the archetype of God is described within the Bible also does with people too. But it's hard to argue against it as a phenomenon within the lives of people, because you're the sum total of your own experiences, and each person that's poured into you in your life is the sum total of theirs. Right. And you know, it keeps going back. And so you think about what it is that you're composed of is what you've experienced and what other folks have told you about those experiences that shapes the way in which you see it.
It's
And
Yes.
crazy. And
so,
sometimes Doc start talking, and I be feeling like I'm listening to an audiobook. And I be like,
That's
I be taking notes in my mind. I'm like, I'm gonna have to come back to this chapter, and
right.
I'm so serious. I'll snap out of it. I'll be like, oh wait, Doc is like talking to me
In
right
real
now.
life. Right. In real life. So,
But
Doc, you got
like,
uh,
an audio book in your own voice for your book.
yes,
You do it in
financial
your own
jujitsu.
voice.
Go get that on Amazon.
Yes.
It is out.
yes, wealth on the mat, wealth on the
Wealth
mat.
on
We
the
got
mat.
you. Yes, the journey to financial mastery through jujitsu principles.
So
Yes, but
when you were saying that about like when people say things to you to kind of guide your life, it made me think about what my dad would always say to me. And he would always say, "Don't you take no wooden nickels." I don't know if
hmm
you've ever heard that before, but my
Yeah.
dad would
I heard.
say that. And that literally has guided my life. Because what I heard from him was don't take no shit. Don't take no shit from nobody. Don't let nobody play in your face. Don't let them play with your money. Don't let them play with you. Right. And that has
Hmm.
really, like, I guess, energized me and like got me where I am now. I'm not going to just take anything. I ain't going to just, you know what I mean?
But
And I'm going to go,
that in itself now becomes an instinct for you also, and it helps your
yes.
intuition guide it,
Yes.
where it's like you at some point you like, hold on, not literally, but like you trying to give me a wooden nickel. And I
Yes.
already know
Yes.
Yes.
instinctually I'm
Yes.
not supposed to
Yes,
take no wooden
I'm
nickels.
not taking no
I'm
wooden
not taking it.
nickels.
And it's like you now, but that, those things, though, like, and as a kid, those are the type of things. It's like, what are you talking about?
Right.
I
Now
ain't
I know.
never seen no wooden nickel. And
And
now,
they
as you get older,
said,
you
okay,
understand
because
it,
I
and
ain't
it's
gonna
like,
take
right, and you're informed now. Your instincts and your intuition is informed where it's like it's crazy because like Doc, you said earlier, you kept saying data, and it's like we always think. I don't say we, but I think data is always framed as like zeros and ones and numbers and percentages and fractions and statistics, and it's like some of this data is just stuff that's downloaded into us
Right.
um instinctively, in a sense where it's like these sayings is like don't take wooden nickels. All of these sayings that we heard when we were younger, and you don't take it literally. Like my grandmother would always say, just keep on saying good morning. I'm like, okay, I'm keep saying good morning, and everybody was like, no, just keep living.
Yep.
Like
Yeah.
keep experiencing life, keep, paying attention, keep observing, and you'll see things. You know what I'm saying? Just keep living. But now
Yeah.
I understand it's like you don't take these things literal, but there's literally data that's downloaded into us, and
Mm-hmm.
we don't really realize it, right? And it's the easy way. They like the elders, the ancestors, the OGs, the true ones have figured out nifty ways to download information into us without us even knowing. And I think that's one of the things that we got to start acknowledging amongst ourselves is like, we think that there are these quirky sayings. It was like, no, they figured out over millennia that if you put it some right here, like we had, like it was always there. Proverbs. Every culture has proverbs. African proverbs, Chinese proverbs, proverbs in the book in the Bible. It's like we had to figure out shortened ways, these abbreviated ways to download information into everybody. And some figure it out, some don't. Some people
Yeah.
is all instinct. Some people is all intuition, just floating with the breeze. And it's like, no, you really got to have both of these tools in your emotional toolbox, and then just in your toolbox in general, to make informed, data-driven, and informed and intuitive decisions, so that you don't just go full mama bear when somebody's attacking your business.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah. I think all of that is I think all of that is important. And I think that was a good way to sort of conceptualize it is, hey, these are tools. These experiences that our forefathers and foremothers had have dictated in a lot of ways what behavior is going to be helpful for us, right? Like everybody black, they always talk about how we've had this conversation at some point, especially before the kid, usually they're teenagers, sometimes earlier than that, about what to do in police interactions. We all know that we have to have this talk with our children because of the fact that there's a likelihood that they will have an interaction, and we also know how badly those things can go. The level of seriousness with which we approach these situations is not like, oh, just look both ways when you cross the street, even though that's probably a far more present danger for our kids all the time. And yeah, we tell them that. But the fear that we have when we talk about this is not just the fear that we possess based on the likelihood and the severity of the experiences that we have personally, or even people within this generation have experienced up to, including, and beyond George Floyd. What we are feeling and what we are expressing is a fear and angst that goes all the way back to the 1600s, right? And at different levels in terms of ebb and flow, but certainly in terms of its intensity and the way it has been directed at us in the past, and the severity and the savagery with which our people have been attacked in the past. That's in that conversation when a parent's talking to their kid. Emmett Till is in that conversation. Everything is in that conversation when you're talking to that loved young person about being careful in the face of of something that other people look at, their instincts and their intuition is totally different when it comes to the police.
And that
But for
conversation in
us,
itself is based off both instinct and
eh,
intuition. It's the instinct of,
exactly.
I know that you're going to go through this, and the intuition of, I have a feeling that you, without me having this conversation with you, you're going to go off of your
You
immediate
go,
instinct, which is not what you should do. And it's
which
possibly
is,
an informed decision because I acted off of instinct in that situation initially. Here's
yeah,
what happened to me. Now you can make a way different choice. And
yeah.
like we said, that intuition gives you that pause and gap where it's like, I'm hold on. Doc told me about this. I remember this. Let me, you know what? Let me calm down real quick.
Yep.
And
Because
that's where it comes in.
that and making sure you effectively understand your instincts, manage your intuition, manage the situation, and don't react without thought to the direction that you want to go with some positive reflection and intuition about the course you're going to take. If you're not doing that, you might be messing yourself up. And when we start talking about things that can happen as quickly as a messed up police encounter, you can see how badly it can go. And I think that is what worries most people, and certainly worries me as a parent, is for my child to experience a reaction based on an officer's instinct and an officer's intuition from their side that doesn't line up at all with the reality of who my child is. And that is a worry that every Black parent sending their kids out where they might encounter a police officer as a part of a traffic stop or just in general. Those are all things that we have worried about and worry about them at an almost chromosomal level because of our experiences within this country, and not
You know,
necessarily
almost
our
at a
own
chromosomal
direct
level.
one.
It
Yeah,
is at a chromosomal
right.
level. They
Because
have
it's like
already
it's not even
proven that
our
trauma is
direct
passed through DNA.
experience. That's
Trauma is
right.
passed through DNA. It is scientifically proven. You can Google it for yourselves if you don't believe us, but
Yeah.
trauma has been proven to be shown in
And
DNA. It's passed
if
down.
it's
We
one
got
thing
it.
we got a lot of as a people,
Trauma.
you'll see it anytime you watch a movie that's nominated for an Oscar. If it's got Black people in it, it's gonna be some trauma on display.
Intuition is
Right.
when the hairs on the back of your neck stand up and you don't even know why. Because it's
Mhm.
cold in there.
Correct.
75 degrees.
Yeah.
Uh,
It's the people letting you know.
yeah, the
And it's a
people.
good thing. You know what? And I think that's the other part of it that we got to recognize is that these are gifts. These tools are gifts,
It's black
and
magic.
these are things that can be strengthened and trained and amplified too,
Oh, now hold
through
on, Doc. Now you talking that black. Now
meditation.
you talking black magic. They gonna kick us off for that. Trying to get look. You're trying to get people to tap into their real
Oh,
gifts. Chill out.
I'm talking.
Chill out with all
I'm
that Harry
talking
Potter
about.
ness, Doc. You gonna get it. They gonna kick us off, Doc. Try to get us all to tap into it. They don't want us to know it.
Mm-mm.
I'm really talking about, people training their minds through
It's that
meditation
revolutionary talk.
um, and and through through positive focus and visualization and all of these things can change the way in which your intuition operates and the way in which you even almost instinctually respond to things. It just can give you the opportunity to switch up the impulses and your responses to the impulses in ways that can increase your well-being, make you feel better about the exact same situation, and then here and more importantly, make you react better to that same situation so that you can be more effective in alleviating whatever issues are going on around you. So
Most people
yeah.
always say like the instinct is like the mind thought, like whatever, like just immediate data, boom, let's get it. Intuition is, most people always say, it's the gut, it's the heart, the
Mhm.
feeling, the emotional response versus the immediate response. And I think we've done a good job of just balancing the balance, like figuring out what that balance is and being informed, and like Deshaun said, of um understanding that it's not linear. Like instinct doesn't always come first, intuition doesn't always come first. Sometimes they work in tandem. Oftentimes they're working in tandem, and we don't even realize it. And like
Mhm.
Doc alluded to, is being able to tap into your intuition, tap into your instinct. Because, you know, what would you do if your son was at home crying all alone on the bedroom floor if he's hungry? That's what do your instincts say?
To finish the rest of the song, I
No,
guess.
I'm
I
not.
don't
I'm not. I'm not finishing the rest. They gonna finish the rest. They gonna finish the rest.
know.
Um, I appreciate y'all as usual for embarking on this conversational journey with me. Um, Alicia, final thoughts. What? No, you know what? Here's my final question for you. I'm gonna frame it for you. Because we've used you as somewhat of a case study, um, unwillingly possibly. And you did make it known that your instinct was something totally different, and your intuition kicked in, and a lot of other things go into that. But I think all of it, plays into it. Education, upbringing, don't take no wooden nickels. All of this stuff is helping you make these informed decisions to be able to, I guess, somewhat control instincts and control intuition and tap in when you needed to. You instinctively tapped in and was like, let me not go full blown guns
Right.
blazing. Let me take a step back. And then even, hey, 24 hours later, we thinking more clear now. The smoke has come out of the ears and we no longer red. So by you being today's unwilling case study, uh, analyze where you are currently in this process. Are you leaning more on instinct now, or are you leaning more on your intuition, or what is your balance currently?
Mm. So as you said, I mean, the smoke is not really coming from my ears anymore like it was yesterday. When I spoke to you yesterday, I was on fire. Okay.
You was
I
typing
think
fast.
now I've had the opportunity to like calm down, think about some things, and then talk to some people and find out that one of the owners of that other company, we're associated in a way. So I think now my intuition has kicked in, like, well, maybe, just maybe it wasn't intentional. But then my instinct is telling me maybe it was, based on the DM that I received from those people's camp, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I'm trying to figure out, to your point, like the balance, all while still pursuing it legally, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because I have to protect my IP,
As you
and I
should.
Mhm.
tell everybody,
Sure.
protect intellectual property at all
Mm.
costs, right? People will always try to steal things from you. That was why I trademarked it before I announced the brand to the world, because I knew I had a great thing and I knew somebody was
Mhm.
going to come for me. I knew it. I knew it.
Mhm.
I just didn't know when, right? And I did think about doing the Robin Thicke thing and just waiting for them to make millions and then, go for mine. But I don't even want to sit in the Raptors and allow that
Mm-hmm.
um
Mhm.
to happen. So we'll see. I'm gonna reach out and give a warning without legal and kind of see if we can deal with it amicably. If not, then Mama Bear gonna come back out and I'm gonna be back by legal. So we'll see.
Mhm.
And there it is.
Yeah.
Uh,
Yeah. No, I agree with that completely. I think
oh, hold on, Doc.
that yeah.
I know what the final question I want from you is.
Okay.
Here we go. This is something new that I'm gonna try. I'm gonna try to
I'll
frame
go with
questions to
y'all.
set y'all up.
I love it.
By you being a black belt in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, and I've read through your book, and you break down the principles that you learn throughout
Mhm.
gaining your belts. And one of the things, one of the times you talk about leverage, but in martial arts and Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu specifically, in the different moves, instinctively, most people, not necessarily Brazil, people that are trained, instinctively, you want to do something.
Mhm.
Let's say if somebody's got you in a chokehold or got you in a bear hug, instinctively, most people may want to do a certain kind of move that isn't actually going to work. But
Sure.
with the knowledge that of being trained, one of the principles is leverage, using someone else's leverage and things of those and different techniques to get out of that. How much of being trained in martial arts and Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu specifically has helped you to do, like you said, tap into your
Mhm.
intuition and your instincts and heighten them, almost becoming like a magical black person?
Yeah. I don't, I don't know about all the magic part, but I will say what happens is you through training you start to condition your body to do different things under different circumstances. That's why the military runs them all through, underwater, heavy rain, you're hungry, you're sleepy, all the rest of these things. Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu is the same way. You get in a position where somebody's on top of you, their knee is in your stomach, they're trying to choke you, all of these things. And what you learn is the manner in which you address these uncomfortable situations is going to determine your success or failure, right? And so your instincts will, your instincts when something is making it hard for you to breathe is for you to open your arms and chest, right? And put that and make, expand your lungs in that way. That is instinctively what happens, right? It's your body's reflex. What
That's a word we
happens
hadn't
when
used.
you train is that, and what you will still have the impulse, right? The instinct is there, but the intuition around the ways in which you know how to move that are likely to make you successful and not get choked out dictate to you now you don't raise both your arms and put them out there in order to catch a breath, right? You make a little frame and push back into the side a little bit. Now you have some space for your lungs to expand. Your reaction to the same stimulus becomes different. And if you drill it enough and train it enough, then the movement becomes like instinct. And it just happens so quickly, almost like naturally, when you are responding to that stimulus. And if they change the angle of that attack, boom, it does that again, right? You continue to be um, you continue to be flexible with your approach because you have now more tools and directions in which you can take this and still be successful, right? You don't have to, hey, you're not limited to the instinct of somebody presses on you, you have to shoot them because now you have more options of how to handle a physical interaction that don't involve you feeling overmatched, desperate, and the instinct is just, oh, okay, I got to end this at all costs, and I'm going to end up killing somebody. And now the repercussions of what you have done fall down on you. It's about creating an opportunity set for yourself based on the knowledge of how to conduct yourself within any of these pleasant or unpleasant environments, right? So that your response is something that you can direct in a way that's going to help you win. That's what I'm about. That's what I think jujitsu and my experience with jujitsu has been about. And I have found that people who can operate in that manner tend to be more deliberative and purpose driven and more effective at executing in business too. So that's what I got on that.
You too can have personal conversations with Doc like this on his upcoming 5 to 10 city tour called Wealth on the Mat. Check your local BJJ dojo for information. And if your local dojo does not have it on the calendar, have them reach out to Dr. John Levin on Instagram and drjohnlevin.com, johnlevin.com, to get him to come to your dojo and have these same personal empowering talks. HBCUPets.com is now having a cease and desist sale. We are for real. Go and get you some. We having a
Yes.
cease and desist sale. Go get you some.
Yes.
Shout out to Mr. Wells. You can check him out at dwellsconsulting.com. Follow the Brethren Podcast on all social media at Brethren Podcast Series on Facebook, at Brethren Pod on Instagram. That's spelled like bread, BREADREN, because we always talk about bread and we always getting bread. We appreciate y'all for tuning in to us in 2025. I don't know what season number this is. I'm not even going to try anymore. We're just going to put out content when we can. We got more exciting interviews coming up this year with plenty more success veterans with our cocktail convos. We'll have some more just slices. We're going to try to do the same thing we did, but do it even better. Progress over perfection is the motto. We love y'all, and there's absolutely nothing you can do about it. Love on each other. Peace out.
Peace.